Welcome to the Timeout Coaching Podcast. Today I have a legend of British basketball coaching, one of the first coaches from Eastern Europe to grace the sidelines of the UK, and someone that has helped and had a profound impact on the highest levels of the game in our country. He inspired and developed both male and female players and coaches in his time as national team coach. I would like to give a warm welcome to Coach Laszlo Nemeth. Coach, really happy to see you.
Thank you very much, Tony. I'm really honored that you picked me for this podcast. And of course, maybe the audience doesn't know, but they have to know that we worked also together. We had a working relationship. So I apologize to you in advance that if I will tell things what you know very well because you lived it through, but might be people who will listen to this, they do not know the inside things of it all. And of course, we have to tell them that we have a very good, may I call it friendly relationship through years.
But, and you're absolutely right. And I really appreciate that. And I want to say, one of the reasons for doing the podcast series was to obviously, to try to show the British basketball coaching fraternity that, all of these coaches that had come before them, and how they had worked, what they did. And I will say that, when I speak to coaches and players, their respect and their love and appreciation for what you did is incredible. And that's why, I really wanted to bring you on early in this series.
Thank you. It's really good to hear, because when you are retired and you don't have power or decision-making power at all, then everything what you get is genuine. And it's very nice.
So, Coach,
and it's good.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Coach, let's talk first about, how you got involved in the game of basketball, your early experiences, obviously your playing experiences, and how they shaped and put you in a position to become the coach that you became.
Right. Okay. My parents, my father and mother, met at the basketball court. Okay, so both of them were played. So it's quite straightforward that there were a basketball family. My mother played for Professor Happ, and Dr. Happ was the founding member of the FIBA with William Johns, and my mother played for that team, and I still have that connection with the Happ family. Even when Professor Happ died, his family gave me, because he graduated at Springfield.
Wow!
The birth of basketball.
Wow!
And this was his flag, what he got on his graduation. And when he passed away, his family gave it to me.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
That's awesome.
And it's still on the wall of my room. And of course, the basketball was an important activity in the family. And after learning swimming and a little bit doing gymnastics at very early age, they sent me, and at that time there were no mini basketball. The mini basketball came much later. So as a 8-9 years old, at primary school age, I started to play basketball at the Army Club, which raised me almost until university years. And when I was selected for the junior national team, that was a major thing, which accelerated my total commitment to basketball. But there were no question that basketball is my sport.
Sure. And you played professionally?
Well, uh, you can say professionally, but at the communist time, we were all amateurs,
Right.
cheating the amateur rules on state governing body said that everybody is amateur, but you were virtually had on paper a job, what you were paid, but you never seen that place. So you get different kind of resources and paid, but it was truly professional player, but it was simply a cheat because at that time, International Olympic Committee rules were only amateurs could compete. Right. So that's why the state governed on that way, and that's lasted quite a long time, almost till the moment when the Berlin Wall came down, and then everything in life changed. So the system operated. Now, when you went to a university, of course, the university could not finance you for playing, but there was a rule: if you are a performance and excellence athlete, any kind, if you go to a university, you have to play for the university club. Okay, there were no other option. It's a communist economy. So therefore, suddenly, universities had elite sports team on the Premier Division. Right. And that was also with me for the University of Physical Education team I played for, and during my studies. And it was such a good basketball section. Like the women team won the national championship at one year, and they played in the Champions Cup of Europe. So that was quite a strong.
And at this time, was there some thoughts in your mind that, you would transition into coaching? Did you ever, what was your career mindset at this moment? Or because obviously you were studying, high level sports as well?
Quite, when you first time you represent your country, that's a great moment in an athlete life, even if it's a communist country, because you hate the system, but it's your country. You are a patriot,
of course,
regardless the political system. Right now, that's a big moment, and suddenly you think, oh, I'm great, I'm superstar. I wasn't. I know now with my coaching head that I wasn't. So, of course, ambition is fantastic. Motivation, eccentric and intrinsic motivation is high. So you want to go ahead as a player. And then when I get to the university team, I had a coach and I played, but he once sat me down and said, listen, you see what to do, but you can't execute on that level because you don't have that physical ability like the very best ones. Sure. And he was very honest and straightforward with me and said, yours is coaching. And at an early stage, during why we were playing on Premier Division, and everybody had that ambition that up national team and so on. I started to coach a secondary school team together with my studies and everything. And it was on the Division 2 of the secondary education setup. And after 4 years, it won a championship, losing only one single game during the season. And that I knew that also my coach was right, and I knew in that moment that that's the path to take.
And at this time, were there some, this person that was coaching you, was he a big influence in some of your early coaching philosophy, or were you looking at other coaches? Were you looking at any of the Russian coaches? What was your background to trying to develop your own kind of philosophy?
Of course, when you get to the first time selected for your country, that coach is in your mind, because first time he picked me, it was Ferenc Harishuki, later was a head coach of Luxembourg. Then Ferenc Banki, who was my teacher, professor, and coach at the university, he had a great influence on me, because he was pointing me out that I'm not gonna be the superstar player. I was okay, but
yes, sure.
far from. So, okay, I accepted that, and of course, then I started to focus on coaching. And he also helped me to get in contact with other coaches. For me, a greatest influence and mentor was at the time in a very difficult political situation, where was Ralph Klein, coach of Maccabi Tel Aviv.
Wow.
Who won first time European Championship final with Maccabi against Real Madrid in an unbelievable final, when Korbalan against Aroesti. So it was legendary, and that made Israel to be on the map. But Israel had no diplomatic relationship with Hungary. Israel virtually did not exist in their methodology, so it was that tough. And Ralph Klein was actually lived after the war like 3 streets down from my parents, okay, because he was a Hungarian Jew. Now, to point out to you and to everybody, Tony, that what a person was who suddenly accepted me, mentored me, and I just went to a European Championship to the hotel where they were, and introduced myself, and who sent me. I told him and said, okay. And ever since, he took me with him when he was with Los Angeles Olympics with Germany. I was always there. He taught me a lot. Unbelievable. And his parents were gassed during the Holocaust in Auschwitz. And I'm telling you, Tony, why sport and basketball is bigger than anything else. My parents are German. I'm German.
Wow.
You understand?
Yeah.
So it gave me something of humanity and believing in sport and internationalism in sport, and everything that who is what kind of religion and race, and
doesn't matter. No,
doesn't matter. So and I'm very, very solid on that. Now, he also helped me. Again, United States at that time is far away, and the Americans didn't like people coming from the communists. So he arranged me to go to St. John's University to see Lou Carnesecca.
Wow, okay.
And he was my second big influence in the coaching. And I spent at St. John's University with him time. I still have, he gave me 2 films, and I still have it, 40 years old.
Look at that. Not even VHS, Super 8. Yeah, that's
Super
awesome.
Awesome. One is on offense, one is on defense.
Unbelievable.
And really his work and everything influenced me big time. And I picked up things tactically also. But here comes the philosophy also, if I can a little bit shift how you form your philosophy. He had a setup, against man-to-man with a cut from the points through the paint and giving a back screen, and after the back screen coming up again. And I was thinking a lot about this, and I said, well, this is not too good that the point guard leaves that place. So I changed a little bit. And this was my old philosophy always: learn, then assess your team and apply.
Wow.
Or necessary progress. So I progressed to a very successful offense, what you know also called the fist.
Fist, yes.
You know that. You played also, I know, with Newcastle, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
So this is it, that you learn and you progress. And I always spent a hell of a lot of time designing, preparing, and that was always my basic principle, the drill for skill. You know, and even if I had a video of a next opponent, then I started to think that what kind of breakdown drills I can do, especially making the point for the preparation for the players.
Coach,
Okay.
I'm going to phrase all of this as the question, but first of all, you take your first professional job at Szepel sport club in Hungary, and obviously, you know, that has to have formed this, you know, a lot of the things that you did then internationally. But you know, now, you know, one of, you know, we talk about this word drill creation. I personally know there really has been no one in this country, and even someone like Coach Nick Nurse, who's now an NBA world champion, you know, has often said this to me. You know, your ability to look at a basketball situation and create drills. Just where was this coming from? Did you know, was this something like you're describing just now? This was coming in your mind, you'd look at the situation, where is this creativity? Because we could talk for hours on some of the drills you came up with in the UK.
That's a danger, Tony, that two of us on a very same frequency and we start to do. Let me tell you an example. I had a team, Chapel, which I started with, and there were a hell of a lot of problems with the turnovers. We had great number of turnovers, and the passing was a problem because I forced an offensive game, a fast breaks, which requires very accurate passing, and I just couldn't improve from week to week. Now, my favorite sport after basketball to watch is ice hockey. And I was up in North America and was fortunate enough that I was let into a practice of the Toronto Maple Leafs Canadian hockey team. And they were practicing fast breaks with a pack with high speed going, and with certain little gates they had to pass through to each other. I immediately picked up a note, wrote it down, went home and started to think about it. And you may have seen with those poles, you know, passing between the poles, high speed and doing triangles and lines and one pass, two pass, no pass between, and improved so the problem was solved for the team. So it was always watch, take, but don't copy.
Right, interesting.
Watch, take, think, apply, but not simple copy. You know, if you are a photocopy, then I don't think that it's you.
Absolutely. But you never, just like you've just talked to, that's a great example with the ice hockey, but you never ever, your mind was never contained in just basketball. There was so many things. I mean, obviously, I mean, myself and a number of the coaches that work with you along with the players will remember drills such as the balloon drills, you know, just stuff that came, you know, we had never seen anything like this. And you would never see something like that, you know, in, say, college basketball in America or NBA. So, you know, that creativity in your mind, that's just come from you, or you had someone that you had seen that was also pushing like this, or because this was incredible?
Well, I would say that it came to me, you know, in Europe, the coaching options are not unlimited like in the States. In the States, if you are NCAA Division One coach, you almost own the team, or you're almost more the boss than an NBA, So then Bobby Knight can select the very best one to Indiana QCs at his big time, because everybody wanted to go there.
Yeah.
Now I had limited players, and this is why I'm very grateful to Chepa for my first professional team, because it was a team which was before champion and almost relegated. And no coach wanted to take the position, and I was 27. So I was forced to think how to solve problems. And that thinking made, okay, learn as much as you can, take, evaluate, and try to add a little bit more and adjust to the players you have, because being in a relegation zone is not attractive to a superstar to sign for you, unless you are extremely wealthy, but that club wasn't. Okay, so that was behind that the early years, I turned that kind of creativity in drill for skill, and that remained, because it's proved if something you succeed, then you start believing on it.
And am I right in thinking though, there was this huge amount of creativity, this drill creation, which certainly the players loved, because no one practice was ever the same. I mean, I will tell any person that listens to me, I used to have the pad, and it was literally a clinic every single practice session that you coached that I was involved with, and that every player knows that the same. But at the same time, there was an effectiveness for it, and there was an end goal, and that was to improve the players and the team. So it wasn't just superficial, but the players also had fun along the way. Was that something that you always felt was important?
Correct. There are different philosophies. If there are coaches who say repeat, and always the same repeat, that's also and there are some coach who could succeed with that. It's I don't say that my way is the only right way, so it's I don't say that, but I think that engaging the players, thinking that, okay, why did he come up with this today? Why I have options, why you understand. So it's somehow this is really a full-time job to follow this kind of path, because you spend much more time preparing than the actual session itself. Absolutely. But you want to achieve that the players start to think or understand the same things what you are at home on a notepad and watching videos and pointing out previous errors and what you want to do.
Interesting.
This was, by the way, this was the tragedy with England, that there were virtually we went, as you know, without preparation. And on the first game, we always lost.
Yeah.
And then we spent 2-3 days and maybe 2 weeks together. And then we had wins against Slovenia and away in the Czech Republic and winning in Latvia. Then you lost at home against Switzerland, because that was the first game. Yeah. And the guys just walked into the gym, and that was a pain.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that. So let's move. So you spent 6 years in Hungary, in your own country. What was the next phase to decide to leave Hungary and then go on coach? And specifically, you went to the Middle East.
It was mainly a political scenario. I got previously an offer from Northmont Cork, from Ireland, to take the team there. And the Hungarian authorities simply, because we couldn't leave the country without an exit visa. It's Western mind. It's
crazy. Yeah,
but you have to apply for an exit visa. And then they started to ask, but why you want to? And normally you could travel private things 3 years only once, and so it's. I don't want to go on that.
No.
But they refused. They refused, and I got very angry. And then I was in a clinic in Greece, and then the Kuwaitis approached me, and they asked me that, do you want to take our team? And I said, yes, but the Hungarians are quite tricky. And I said, okay, let's work it out. So through Ralph Klein, I got an invitation to the Los Angeles Olympic Games, which were boycotted by Hungary.
Right.
And
the whole of Eastern Bloc. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
And then, but there in Los Angeles, the contract was ready. I signed it, and I sent it home to Hungary, saying that, okay, here we go. And then they said, well, come home to discuss. And I said, well, no, I don't. Let's discuss it. Okay, I pay all the taxes and everything what you want, but you agree. So I think they realized this, the hard currency is better, what they deducted from my salary. And then they agreed. And I didn't go back to Hungary until the Berlin Wall came down, but I paid the taxes. Right. So I spent a year in Kuwait.
And at that time, working with the club and the national team, were you starting to develop a different philosophy? What type of coaching?
Well, I must be very, very honest and frank, because I guess this podcast is about young coaches and aspiring coaches. I was lucky because I get a team which had incredible resources, which had the best players, and virtually in the league, we had only 2 teams which could be some kind of a threat in the domestic competition. So the 4 years there resulted 6 national title cups and championship and unbeaten records and everything. So, but the resources were so good that gave me such an opportunity, to play. And truly, the international competition, they call it the GCC Championship, which is Gulf Cooperation Council, and participating in Arab Championships and Asian Championships as well, because the resources was there. I wish I would have that there with the England team. And that was a very successful 4 years. And I'm so glad that, for example, one of my players there, Faisal Brusley, became the national team coach of Kuwait later on. So a Kuwaiti national could coach the Kuwaiti team. So also very happy, very happy. And after that, I moved to Scandinavia.
Yeah.
Geographical sauna from the Middle East.
And how did you end up in Iceland? What was the connection there?
It was again, because I attended to international clinics and learned and listened lectures, and we were in Italy when I was together in sharing one room with Einar Bollason, who was previously Iceland national team coach and a club coach, and suddenly out of the blue at my 4th year in Kuwait said that here we have our great team which previously been championship and struggling. We were 6th in the last year and the fans are not happy, and as you know, club level nobody happy. So we decided first time ever to hire a foreign coach. Are you interested? And of course, it was a massive salary drop, needless to say. But I wanted to coach in Europe, and I wanted to go back to Europe. So I went and I took that job, and it was 2 years. And the first year we became second, and the next year we won a championship. Now you were asking about changing philosophies. Now, telling you, in Hungary, I was very offensive orientated, fast break, high scoring, not Billy Williams type London Leopards entertaining, but organized fast breaks and so on. Arriving in Iceland, again, assess. See, I saw the team. Well, I said it's realistic that they were second, so it's defensive game. That's defense can win the game.
Sure.
And the offense, there were teams, Keflavik scoring 100, 110. And I had a very young team. The bottom line is, when we won the championship, only the relegating team scored less basket than we. We were the second lowest scoring team and champion, and like 28 games were within 5 points for our favor. Wow. And it was low score game. It was boring. Well, boring. It's not boring for the home fans, but that was the only way to win.
Awesome.
And it was just straightforward, and totally had to change everything and build up. I don't say that I didn't know defense, but okay, now it's defense.
Right.
So that was Iceland, where we're also one more historical thing in, again, sport and politics always. It was the very first time, before even Mark Chuloin is gone to the NBA, when an American and a Soviet played in one team, and that was my team, and it was even in the USA Today front page. Still have, and Jonathan Bow from Indiana Purdue and Anatoly Kovtun from Stoichel Kiev was the two player, and they didn't. Toya couldn't speak English, but I speak Russian, so I was the communication channel as well.
Awesome.
It was a funny.
Crazy. So you went back to the UAE, to the United Arab Emirates, just after Iceland, and then back to Iceland again. At this time, in your mind, you must have a pretty fixed, understanding of the game, of all facets of the game. So you must be pretty confident. What, after that 10 years of international basketball, were you looking for the national team type job of England, or what was that process in your mind in that respect?
The national team, in Kuwait and in Iceland, I also was club coach and national team coach. Okay, so it's a dual role. It's a very difficult scenario, because from the greatest rival club always says to you that, oh, you fancy your own players. But yes, you fancy, but usually at the end of the bench, So at the end of the bench, there are two equal ability, one from your club and one from the other club. Then you opt for your own club, because that's not a significant part of the national team. Who is a star is anyway selected. So, but this always exists, and this is a favorite point of the media. So that's a little bit of a difficulty to have national team and club at the same time. The England scenario happened, it started on club level, according to Peter Horn, who told me that we played on club level against an English club in the Courage Cup, And they already printed, I still have it, the program that, okay, the next team is KR Reykjavik, and after that we shall play with Cortez. Then they lost in Reykjavik and they lost in London as well. Wow. Okay, so and after that,
who was coaching that team against? Who were you coaching against?
Let me not say names. It's not. It's not against the coach, because on top of it, I respect that coach quite highly. And what happened then? Somebody was sitting from Sport England and told Peter Horn that, who is this guy? Can we have him? And Peter Horn and David Ransom was the two who said, okay, do you want to take the national team? Wow. And then I went through the formal interview. You know, English are very formal. And advertised, and you had to apply, and then you went to the interview, and then they decided. And it was quite okay at the beginning, because David Ransom was also a coach, so he had subject knowledge. But I didn't know all the political issues behind it. And I could speak to him when I said, okay, Dave, I want the national team practice Mondays at Stockley Park in London. Which was something, wow, what, regular. And then the BBL was quite strong at that time, but somehow succeeded. And we started to train regularly. And then they asked me that what we need that we can progress from the level of Malta and Gibraltar to where they were at the time when I took the team. And I said, well, we have to host the qualification round. And it's achieved, so credit to them, it was in Birmingham. And we qualified. So we started to get further up. And then came the Bosman ruling, which was a killer.
Right.
Which was a killer.
But am I not at this time? Surely, when you first got into the job and you started to assess the talent pool. Am I right in saying you were originally, it was just the men you were in charge of, and then they put you in charge of the women? Is that how it went as well? Or?
I was just for the men. I never coached female team in my life. I had lectures and different kind of clinics and training sessions, when they invited me, but I never was in charge for a female team before. But it's later, came in much later, a couple of years passed when there was a change of presidency and Betty Cadona became the president, and then she said, now you coach the women team as well.
Right, okay. So when you first took the job, though, when you were assessing specifically the male talent pool, you must have been excited by the players. What was your first thoughts? I mean, some of the players we had at that time, and still, these are legends of the game.
I was stunned. I said, wow. What an athletic talent, what an ability, wow. And at that time, they played all in the UK.
Right.
But really had to earn the trust of the players, if you know what I mean, because here you go, we never had an East European coach. Here is somebody who comes from the Arctic Circle. And so I had to establish and explain what I want. And I told them that I have the trust that this ability deserves much more. But I must also tell that my very first thing after the appointment was that I picked up the phone and said, Kevin Cadle, come on, let's sit down together and let's talk. Yeah. Because I'm not pushing you out from the job. I think Kevin was resigned or whatever happened.
Absolutely.
And till his death, we had a very good relationship. And I sat with him about 2.5 hours in London. And that he said a lot of things, what I say, oh, well, he might be disappointed and everything, but I know I am wrong. I was wrong at the time.
Sure.
He was very accurate.
Yeah.
And it was a very professional discussion. So some alarming bells were there, but still I saw the players and I said, I never had in my life such an athletic ability. I never been in my team so many good players, including Chapel, where Sergei Kovalenko played for me from the 1972 Olympic gold medal winner, wow. Munich Olympic gold medal winner. He was the backup pivot and he was my foreign player. So, but as so many talented players together where I really can select, I said, wow, that's gonna go forward.
Yeah.
And
did you so you bring this, the first initial teams together, you're watching them play in in the domestic league. Are you thinking about changing the style of play? Are you what was your mindset going in from a philosophy standpoint, or was it more about creating a different culture? Because for sure, I think that you were the first coach to bring this, incredible level of professionalism to the national team in almost every single area, and demand higher standards of the national team. I think that there's no question that you were ahead of your time doing these things.
Well, of course, as I told you, that those regular training sessions in Stockley Park was a bit of a shock. And even maybe for the players were surprised because they don't get used to it, that national team, not a club, but start to operate a little bit. Okay, let's see each other more. Let's learn behaviors. So that was certainly a kind of surprise for them as well. But I guess as the time gone, they realized that I'm in business, and there was a great partner in this, Steve Bucknell and Peter Scanterbury. They must be credited amazingly, because without them, the others, I don't think they would follow. I mean, Roger Huggins also, who was a Mr. Nice Guy and an absolute coachable person. So suddenly having those three and they are turning up and training, plus Ronnie Baker, who was a very silent but an absolute diligent guy. So there, in that term, that I could earn somehow, and you have to ask them, not me, they trust, but I felt that after a little time they got the message, and those four somehow started to pull in the others as well. Not everybody, not everything succeeded, that's no question. Conflict management is part of a head coach job. But I would say it was very promising. And after Birmingham, when we qualified, then I thought, wow, okay, it's going all right.
And I mean, one thing about am I right in saying this about your coaching philosophy, which I think was certainly one of the things I saw firsthand, was, this conditioning component. So there was obviously the technical and tactical components, which were, again, another level to what I had seen and most players and teams were operating on. But there was this conditioning component that, you demanded of the players, and it was kind of like it was just to build the base. What was your thought process with regards to this?
Okay. of course, as a PE teacher, and as you know, I have PhD as well on sports coaching. So somehow I felt that, especially with the national team, your time is so limited that you cannot operate as a club fully.
Sure.
So, okay, here are the drills what I designed, but let's try to achieve that as close as possible to game conditions physiologically. So I always, after the warm-up, put to the beginning of the training session a strong physical push that they do some cardio work, fitness work, that suddenly you out of breath, and now here comes the coach and tells you that this is how you have to do. You understand? So, yeah. And if you, I was so lucky, like Steve Bucknell, who had such an amazing work ethic and working extra, that stayed after the training session, started to do skipping rope and went to the gym, even after up there in Stockley Park, or Buckner was who told me, Coach, give me an individual shooting program. And he was a ready-made product. So make no mistake, it wasn't me who made Steve Bucknell and Scanterbury great and Ronnie Baker great players. I inherited them, you know. So, but that was a great example that, okay, this is right. You have to be fit. You have to be able to work under cardio pressure, executing the coach's idea. When you are under cardio pressure, that helps a lot on this situation where your floor time is extremely valuable because it's so limited.
So so you had a whole series of sessions that were designed, around that, because of course time was of the essence and it's even more so when you were coaching, because the preparation time was almost nothing. So you put that conditioning component ahead. Is that correct? Like of the actual sessions?
Well, it was virtually creating a situation rather than, because of course then they went back to their own clubs, you know. So did they do or they didn't do, it was entirely up to their professionalism. But this was the main idea behind it.
Right. And of course, there are, I have to tell the one folklore story, which, any person that's been involved in any of your programs, whether it's in Scandinavia or in the Middle East or within Europe and specifically here in England, the bench drills, which, became famous. They're folklore between some of the greatest players that have ever played this game, and people like Coach Nick Nurse and unfortunately Coach Keldo and Coach Finch. All of these great coaches and stuff are all seen firsthand. I mean, what was the basis to that? And was that something that you designed, or?
I designed it. It was from gymnastics, actually. And again, you had to do something of a physical work, what all team is working together, because that's a teamwork. Simple equipment, rather than investing to whatever fantastic super machinery. And it is usually always, at the time, was every gym around.
In the UK, for sure.
Here we go, let's use it. Okay, and of course, then I started to, of course, that move helps a lot for the shooting. You put it between your legs and you have to go down and you have to keep down, otherwise the bench hurts you. So again, thinking that what can I achieve, what is related to our game, and it's a physical load.
Yeah, that's great. Now, in this 10 years, of time, talk just very quickly about some of the real achievements and also, some of the frustrations, because, as a national team, we got very, very close, and that group was an incredible group of players. And given a slightly different, circumstances in respect to preparation, the team could have even achieved even greater results.
I have no doubt that what you were saying is right, and you were part of it also. So the major issue is that at the very early stage, when a group stage, or semifinal, it started, the first game always gone, always, and it was such a pain, and this club national team conflict or problem, which exists in soccer even,
Sure.
that the clubs have, but that's the player's job, So I understood when a player said, "Coach, I can't come. I'm not released, and that's my job."
Yeah.
And that's a professional word. So yes, I could be a tough cookie and play tough cookie, but the federation wasn't strong as in Eastern Europe and even Spain and Italy, when they say now everything stops, it's national team preparation time. There were other commercial interests. Of course, the players' livelihood and income depended that they are doing the job what they had. So it was a virtual, put me on a wall. And I always thought that, okay, I'm getting out. But then they started to make such a big wins. I said, well, come on, we can take the world. So it's gone year by year that, okay, let's carry on, and it's somehow always just on a hairline slipped away.
Right. Do you think that because, of course, from a pure commercial time, the sport had never been in such a greater position, especially towards the end there with where the BBL was, and Sky and all of these things. Do you think?
Well, it's no question, Tony, that looking commercially, Premier Division is entertainment also. You need fan base, and the Sky contract helped them big time. I do not know exactly who made that crucial mistake when they terminated with Sky. That was that was a wrong decision, because yes, it's sometimes difficult to deal with resourcing organizations, but you have to live with it.
But do you think at that time that yes, the game had great profile, but do you think that if the BBL and the federation, especially if the federation had been slightly stronger, do you think that the key of the national team having success, sustained success, could have driven the game even higher, and people really missed that? They missed the understanding of what it took for the national team to be successful, and that was commitment from all parties.
Was it a question or a statement? But I agree with it, and I firmly believed it. If it's your thought as well, we are again on the same frequency. I think in the UK, where basketball is on a position as it is, and I don't want to start another 1 hour discussing the political things and UK sport behavior and approach to the game, but I firmly believe that there must be one organization to run the sport in this country, because again, it's not sustainable. It's financially not viable that so many organizations run the thing. And I strongly, name it as you like, I don't mind, but it's need this sport with that amazing player base on a grassroots level, need a decisive one organization to lead. And that is the key, that the flagships, the national team, will also be better. There was a chance during the Olympics, but again, that's gone, not because the coaching expertise was not there. You yourself was involved, and NBA best coach was involved and everything. So I don't think that it was, but it's again gone.
Yeah.
And that was an opportunity what the sport could build on.
Okay, very quickly, let's discuss just your role in the female side of the game, because I've talked to a lot of people, and there were just as equally as many female players that you impacted, and coaches, and just talk about that, how that situation, like you've explained that Betty asked you to become involved. What was the process with regards to that?
I'm honest to you, and I was quite afraid of when she said that you do it, and well, let's be honest. The female game is horizontal game. The man game is a vertical game. Okay, that's politically correct or not, but that's the fact. Okay. Now, and I was hearing stories and differ from coaches who coached female teams, and they are, of course, friends and colleagues. And I was a little bit scared, because I knew how the man team is underfunded, and the woman team was even more. I mean, Tony, we were practicing category A prison after the inmates were locked late night, and myself and my assistant was driving the girls home. I arrived home at 3:00 a.m. So they didn't get per diem, they did nothing. And then I saw this incredible will and commitment what these girls had to attend to these sessions, that I would say I fall in love with them. It was so good to design for them a training session and then carry it out, that I was just simply happy.
Sure.
And I'm still in touch with many of them, even if who lives thousands of miles away, and that's a great feeling. Again, a biggest thing, once somehow finally, putting money into a preparation scheme from different pots, including my own, we had a training camp in Hungary prior to the European Championship, but the men and the women championship was at the same time. So I had to go with the man team. But just to tell you that they lost on the qualification round 3 points to France, which became the European champion. So again, shows that if you prepare, then you can win.
Who coached the team? Who coached the team in your absence?
It was Brani.
Brani coached it. Yeah.
Brani, who took the team to the European qualifications, and all of their game was, none of them was just running over.
No.
So it is, and I'm so happy to see that the Great Britain women team is so successful now. And I'm annoyed that politically they don't get the funding from UK sport. That's really pissed off big time, because that's a result.
Yeah.
Fourth in the European Championship, and now they just beat Poland, which was a dominant force. And I'm again so happy that people who worked with me gone much further than me. Vanessa, who was my team captain at the women team, now is the assistant coach of that successful national team. Nick Nurse is NBA Coach of the Year, NBA title winner. Tony Garbelotto, internationally recognized, establishing in Asia a professional league and coach in Japan. Bodvar Gudjonsson in Iceland, who was my player at the end of the bench, now led the team to 7 championships in a row. So this is something good when those people make much further and much better, produce much better the result than yourself.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe so, but no one ever forgets the influence you had on all of our lives, and how much that just meant on both on the court and also off the court. So never take that for granted. And I don't know about everyone has an ability, like Nick will say, he was extremely fortunate, but of course an incredible talent to get where he was. So that's great stuff.
It is nice, as I said. I mean, here it is.
There it is. That's right.
Here is his what he sent to me. So unbelievable. You understand, these are clean, genuine, real.
Yeah, unbelievable. That's a fantastic idea. Just right at the end, it's 2004-ish. What was the thought process there about moving on? Was it just the frustration of the whole system? Just not being able to.
I wasn't able, and again was very happy that Canterbury, who was at that time the assistant coach, that he could take over, and he succeeded in the Commonwealth Games, winning a medal. So that's because he really was an absolute loyal person, like yourself, through the years. So, but it just couldn't go on. Okay. Couldn't go on, and then the academic life was a great satisfaction, especially the last 9 years at Chichester University, where I had the best boss of my life, I would say, and that was really, and I wish everybody, when your life concludes, to have such a job where somebody gives you the opportunity to give out all the accumulated knowledge, experience, and you can teach young people according to your principles. Now, they take it or not, it's entirely up to them. But that was certainly a satisfying period of my life.
One thing, and we need to just have a short discussion of, is that you've affected so many players, like I said, and so many coaches at elite level. But the one thing you established in this country was one of the best, camps that the country has ever seen, Eurocamp. And what first of all, what was the philosophy behind that? And then secondly, just explain how it's grown, to where it is today.
It's operated, apart from this year, because of COVID, we had 25 years history behind it. Now, as a young coach, also I attended to different kind of camps in the States, in Ireland, and many other places. I have seen different camps. And in the United States, you have stations, where you have limited time when you do the same drills. There is one drill, and then the players move. And again, and I started to think, if I'm a coach, I might not like that all day I have 10 minutes for the same drill and the players. So I said, let's do something different. Let's give the coach the freedom of 1 hour to run the session. I give the title of the topic. The player also will experience that Tony Garbelotto teaches the fast break this way. Bill Baddeley, who was the coach of Nick Nurse, by the way.
Unbelievable story. Yep.
will teach the same fast break differently. So the player also can realize that, oh, this one emphasizes this aspect of the fast break, that one emphasizes that aspect, and the coach itself can give himself to present himself to the athlete. So we have, of course, the 4 teaching session, and the coaches rotate, not the players. And then in the afternoon, we have, because every coach has a team, of course, in the conference. And then we have the championship, like in every camp.
Sure.
And like in Barrow, which was the principal camp, let's put it on this way, and that's our headquarters, where an outstanding, very well organized administrator, Chris Smith, is running the show, and
Absolutely.
with his family. And they keep virtually alive now the whole operations. And this is what gives the coach freedom, the player enjoyment and learning environment, good learning environment. And as well, there is the fun and competition, which is the cream of the cake to play the game. So I think that's one of the reasons why it became such a success story, because it's clearly a success story.
Absolutely.
It is without sponsor. It is without external government funding. This is absolutely sustainable. So if somebody says, when Laszlo at the EB Times suggested a couple of things, then maybe I prove that it could be done.
Sure.
But it's hard work, Tony. It's hard work.
For
It's
sure.
a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And it doesn't make you a billionaire. That's also true.
No.
But it's not producing a loss. No. Okay.
But more importantly, it's touching young players and young coaches as well that you brought in and brought through. I mean, even, am I not mistaken, someone like Gareth Murray was on the camp and then is now, being...
He was on the camp. Now he is a coach.
Yeah,
a kid will attend. Michael Ball met with his wife in the camp.
I was there.
Now their son will come as a player.
Unbelievable.
So it's... of course, like always, there are many stories of John Grant driving from Scotland on a minivan, the abroad players, and so there are many contributors to the success. It's again a developed idea, and I found very good partners. Like Mike Bernard. Every kid likes Mike Bernard. Huge Mike Bernard walks in, every kid they jaw up. So there are different kind of thoughts why it is attractive.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Changing tact. You spent the best part of over 20 years here in this country. Talk to me a little bit about your thoughts on British basketball coaching and the fraternity. Do you think that we utilized you and your knowledge to the level that we should have, or any thoughts on where the coaching has gone?
Let's start at the end of your questions. That did you utilize or not? If I was invited somewhere, I always went and I did my best and I prepared. Okay. Now, if I'm not invited, I didn't go there. So it's that's about it. And it still exists because I go here and there, and where I'm invited, I do it. Now, the bit what I felt that there are amazingly committed and enthusiastic and knowledgeable coaches somehow working in a little castle of their own, because they have not a massive trust on those who are in charge for the game. So like Ipswich, for example. There is then you go down to Torquay. There is also a pocket, and then you go up to Newcastle. There also. Then you go to Sheffield. You understand what I also missed, that somehow the coaches in England doesn't have that power which could influence decisions. And I miss that unity and voice of a coaching association, which is not just about the clipboards but it's now hold on, guys, this is what should happen.
Yes, absolutely.
And where is a united vote, and if somebody is taking anybody, let's say Mark Dunning or Tony or whoever takes and speaks, then the others loudly support it.
Yes.
Sometimes somebody, picks up, start to speak, and then looks back, and then there is nobody behind.
Yeah, for sure.
So as per technical knowledge of the coaches, I think it's very good. I mean, if you use the resources now and in the cyber world,
wow,
you can visually follow you. So you have much more than my time when I was a young coach. You have much more. More people, more coaches are accessible, and so on. What I feel it's important, again, you don't be a copy. Don't be a photocopy. Take, learn, and think about it.
Yeah. I tried to explain that as well. That's that's great stuff.
It's if you can add a color, and that's what I often say to players, here is, guys, that offense, the fist. Here is the frame. I give the frame, you paint a picture.
Yeah.
But if you paint a picture on the wall outside of the frame, I kick your ass. Yeah. So this is about it. And I think the British coaches are knowledgeable. It's the resources, the printed ones are, English mostly, because it's an American game. So, and I felt that that they have very solid, good knowledge of the game.
Right. Okay, let's wrap this up, and with 4 quick questions. I'm going to reverse this. It's one for you is going to be tough, because do you have a favorite drill for someone that has the most drills, almost too many? Do you have a favorite drill that you enjoyed running?
Let's put it on this way. I really love that passing setup, because I still thought I can figure out that, I didn't use this option.
Right.
And so, yeah, I love that. But also in tactically, because I, as a player, was not a great athlete, but was a good shooter. So I love to play against the zone, So tactically, zone offense is one of my big favorite.
And you still influence me and a number of coaches on that area as well. Still a lot of your concepts hold up even in today's game 1,000%. Really do. So, you have a favorite go-to saying or statement, something that you used to say almost all of in every practice.
Okay. I would have and it's for coaches, for players, for everybody who is involved in basketball. You must have high goals. You must have high goals, even in hopeless situation. That's a conclusion of my life, coming from a rubbish communist country where everybody had no hope. You must have high goals. And if you can stick to it and go for it, you will have great rewards.
Awesome. I love that.
So high goals, great rewards.
Awesome. Favorite all-time basketball coach?
Well, of course, now I have to say, because I'm extremely happy that Nick Nurse reached that peak, while he reached the Mount Everest of basketball.
Absolutely.
So I'm a Boston Celtics fan, but needless to say, I'm a Toronto Raptors fan now.
Yeah.
But of course, I'm really grateful to many reasons to Ralph Klein, who was my mentor and an extremely successful coach. Tony, can you imagine? He came with Israel national team silver medalist in the Torino European Championship, and he had not a player over 2 meters. When Soviet Union, Yugoslavia, Czech Republic, Poland, and they got the silver medal. That was the brain. You understand?
I met him at Maccabea when I coached there many years ago. That's an unbelievable story. Yeah, a legend, absolute legend. Now, extremely, this is not fair for someone that's coached so many players, but
no, I don't answer.
Well, Betsy
Donald Trump, I'm walking out.
Betsy Cadona said exactly the same. She refused to answer it. So you don't have to answer favorite player to coach because too many.
Really difficult.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm likely to start taking this question away because it's not fair to put this on the
you have Donald Trump walking away.
Yeah, Coach. Again, so many nuggets, so many great things that you've expanded on today. I just want to thank you, firstly, for what you've meant to me. But I know I speak for so many players and so many coaches. So thank you, and thank you for being on the
Tony,
Timeout.
I hope if it inspires a little bit, because my job now is to inspire people. That's what I feel that's what I could do, and I hope I could, and I hope they got the message.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you.
Tony.